Chiamaka Thompson, a 26-year-old graphic designer, had grown up in the vibrant hum of Chicago, Illinois. Surrounded by the love of her tight-knit family, her father, Chike, a dedicated nurse for 25 years, had immigrated from Nigeria in his youth, building a life of hard work and sacrifice in the United States. Her mother, Grace, a schoolteacher, and her younger brother, Kelechi, completed their warm household. The family's modest home in Hyde Park was filled with laughter, Nigerian jollof rice simmering on weekends, and Chike's stories of his childhood in Enugu, Nigeria. After retiring, Chike made a bold decision to return to his hometown and live out his days in a grand mansion he'd spent years building. He believed his siblings, his brother Obi and sister Nneka, would care for him in his retirement. Chiamaka, though reluctant to see him go, supported his dream, trusting that technology would keep them close. For the first year, their connection held strong. Chiamaka and Chike spoke weekly over WhatsApp, his voice crackling through the phone as he described the mango trees outside his mansion, the local market's bustle, and his plans to start a small poultry farm. Chiamaka cherished these calls, picturing her father's broad smile. But as months passed, the calls grew sporadic. Chike's voice, once lively, became strained, his answers vague. "I'm fine, Chiamaka. Just settling in," he'd say, but something felt off. By the 14th month, the calls stopped entirely. Texts went unanswered, and voicemails piled up. Chiamaka's worry turned to panic. Her mother, Grace, urged her to stay calm, but Chiamaka couldn't shake the gnawing fear that her father was in trouble. Unable to wait any longer, Chiamaka booked a flight to Nigeria. She packed lightly, her mind racing with worst-case scenarios. Kelechi offered to come, but Chiamaka insisted he stay with their mother, who was recovering from knee surgery. "I'll handle this," she said, her voice steadier than her heart. After a 16-hour journey, she landed in Enugu, the humid air hitting her like a wave. A taxi took her to her father's mansion, a striking two-story building with white walls and a red-tiled roof, surrounded by a high gate. But as she approached, her excitement curdled into dread.
Her uncle Obi and Aunt Nneka stood at the gate, their faces hard with anger. "What are you doing here? You can't just show up unannounced." Chiamaka, stunned, explained she hadn't heard from her father in months. Nneka's eyes narrowed. "He's fine. Go back to America." When Chiamaka pushed past them toward the gate, Obi grabbed her arm, shoving her back. A heated argument erupted, drawing neighbors' curious glances. Chiamaka's heart pounded, but she stood her ground. "I'm seeing my father, whether you like it or not." Realizing she needed help, Chiamaka sought out the village elders. She found them at the community hall, a group of gray-haired men and women, respected for their wisdom. Sitting under a ceiling fan that creaked with every turn, Chiamaka poured out her story. Her father's silence, the hostile welcome, and her fear that something was terribly wrong. The head elder, Mama Ngozi, listened intently, her eyes kind but sharp. "We will go with you," she said. "No one should keep a daughter from her father." Accompanied by Mama Ngozi and 3 other elders, Chiamaka returned to the mansion. The elders demanded Obi and Nneka open the gate. The couple hesitated, claiming Chike had left for Abuja to visit another sibling.
Chiamaka's gut told her it was a lie. Neighbors lingered nearby, whispering. One woman, clutching a basket of yams, muttered to Chiamaka, "Your father hasn't left that house in months." The words sent a chill down her spine. With the elders' insistence and the arrival of two local policemen, Obi reluctantly unlocked the gate. But the house itself was bolted shut, and Neka refused to hand over the key, her smirk infuriating Chiamaka. As dusk settled, the village youth gathered, drawn by the commotion. A young man named Emeka, the youth leader, offered to help. "We can climb the balcony or break the lock," he said, his friends nodding eagerly. Chiamaka, torn between caution and desperation, agreed to try. After hours of effort, a locksmith arrived, and the front door creaked open. Inside, the air was stale, the once pristine mansion now dusty and neglected. Chiamaka's heart sank as she reached a back room and found her father. Chike lay on a grimy mattress, his body frail, his face gaunt. His eyes, though weak, flickered with recognition. Chiamaka knelt beside him, tears streaming down her face. "Dad, do you know who I am?" she whispered. Chike nodded slowly, softly choked up. "Do you know I love you?" Another nod, fainter this time. Chiamaka's sobs shook her as she prayed silently, feeling a quiet voice within urging her to step back and return later. With a shaky voice, "I'll be back tomorrow, Dad," she promised, brushing his hand. Obi and Neka, now pale and stammering apologies, were ignored.
Emeka suggested stationing youths to guard the house overnight. Grateful, Chiamaka sent money to his mobile account for food and drinks. She left with the elders and police, checking into a small hotel nearby. In her room, she fell to her knees, praying for her father's safety and thanking God for guiding her this far. Sleep eluded her, her mind replaying her father's frail form. At 4 a.m., her phone jolted her awake. Emeka's voice was frantic. "Men came, dressed like soldiers. They threatened to shoot us. We had to run. Your father, he's gone." Chiamaka's heart plummeted. She knew Obi and Neka were behind it. Dressing quickly, she rushed to the mansion, but it was empty, the gate ajar. For 3 days, she searched tirelessly, visiting neighbors, markets, and nearby villages. She prayed without ceasing, clinging to a deep assurance that she would find her father. On the third evening, a neighbor called. A car had entered the mansion. Chiamaka raced to the village head, Chief Okonkwo, who rallied the elders and alerted the police. They stormed the property, brushing past Obi and Neka's protests. Inside, Chike lay, in the same filthy room, barely conscious, nodding faintly when Chiamaka spoke. The police arrested Obi and Neka for neglect and endangerment. With Emeka and the elders' help, Chiamaka carefully lifted her father into a car and rushed him to a nearby clinic. The doctor's report was grim. Chike suffered from severe dehydration, malnutrition, and an untreated infection. Chiamaka contacted the U.S. Embassy, explaining the urgency. Within 24 hours, they issued a new passport for Chike. Chiamaka arranged his transfer to a hospital in Lagos for specialized care. She spent sleepless nights by his side, holding his hand as IV drips restored his strength. Slowly, Chike began to speak again, his voice weak but clear. Weakly, "You came for me," he whispered, tears in his eyes. Tearfully, Chiamaka smiled through her own tears. "Always, Dad." After a week, the doctors declared Chike fit to travel. Chiamaka booked first-class tickets to Chicago, determined to give her father comfort.
But their journey hit a snag when their Uber got a flat tire 10 minutes from Lagos airport. Check-in was closing, and Chiamaka's panic surged. A passing motorist, seeing her distress, offered a ride, weaving through traffic to get them there just in time. At the airport, another hurdle. Chike's wheelchair wasn't permitted at the gate. Chiamaka's desperate cries drew the attention of the airport director, who reopened the check-in counter. With his help, they boarded the plane, Chiamaka holding her father's hand tightly. They landed safely in Chicago, where Grace and Kelechi waited, tears of relief streaming down their faces. Chike's recovery continued, supported by proper medical care and his family's love. Back in Nigeria, Obi and Nika were sentenced to 7 years in prison for their neglect. Chiamaka, though scarred by the ordeal, found peace in her father's safety. Her faith, courage, and relentless love had brought him home, a testament to a daughter's unbreakable bond.